Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Today, we speak with Lito Maderazo. He's president of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Cebu is one of the most developed cities in the Philippines with over 500 foreign investors in manufacturing, services, and tourism. On Thursday, the government announces the economy in the Philippines grew 7.8% in the first quarter of 2013. What does that mean for the Philippines? What does that mean for Cebu? Here to answer those questions are Lito Maderazo. Lito, nice to have you here
Good
on
afternoon.
Rappler. Good afternoon. So, how did you react to the 7.8% growth rate?
Well, of course, we're very happy that this is a welcome development. 7.8 is by no means a high growth. We're, I think, one of the best in Asia right now. And
We beat China. China came in at 7.7% for that. So, yes. Sorry.
so we hope that we will be able to. The country can sustain this. And for Cebu, major economic drivers are basically tourism, ICT BPO, and the manufacturing sector.
It's so, we have a lot of questions coming in now from social media. So you guys, I see the Cebuanos and Filipinos seem to be interested in Cebu. So let me throw a few questions for you now. This is sorry, I've looked. This is for APEC.
APEC.
How can you attract people to APEC? Cebu is vying for the host venue of APEC 2015. Is a strong contender, as I see it. This is from Emerson Kim J. Lineses. What plans do you have to snag it, or how are you pitching Cebu to the organizing committee?
Yeah, we're trying to work very hard to pitch for Cebu to host APEC. This will be in 2015. The Philippine government organized a national screening committee for the different cities in the Philippines to pitch for the hosting of APEC.
Okay.
And in the beginning, we were just thinking of doing the senior officials meeting because APEC has series of meetings for the whole year.
Correct.
Culminating at the end, say sometime, I think November or December. But as we have progressed in our preparation, we have decided to go for APEC, the heads of state hosting.
Fantastic.
And that's a tall order.
Well, Cebu has great ambitions, and this is part of what you guys are putting together for this month, right? To bring the attention to Cebu. This is from Alan Quiñanola. What are your prospects for the Mega Cebu project, especially now that Cebu City Mayor Mike Rama, who expresses strong support for the project, wins his second term?
Well, Mega Cebu is a multi-sectoral group composed of the heads of local government units within the metropolitan area, or Mega Cebu we call it.
Yes.
It's from the city of Karkar all the way to Danao. That's 7 cities and 6 municipalities, plus the business groups and the civil society. It's about 30 multi-sectoral organizations grouping together. The objective is to really come up with a strategic development framework on how Cebu to become a metropolitan area, to become a hub, to move forward in the next 30 to 50 years. And we have identified 3 pillars. One is competitiveness, second is livability, and the third is mobility. And centered to this is a metropolitan board that will manage all these issues and concerns.
Interesting. So given the great interest in the Philippines right now, why Cebu?
Well, Cebu has a lot to offer. One is that we have outside Metro Manila, where I think we have the biggest airport. We have 30 flights a day from Cebu to Manila and over 500 international flights a month. That alone is giving us a good position to be a major tourist destination. And aside from that, in Cebu, it's not so big, not so small as well, so that foreign direct investors like Cebu, they can live, work, and play in Cebu is what they say. I mean, the beach area is 5 minutes away. The central business district is also very near from the living places. So that's what makes Cebu very vibrant. And the people, we have a strong and a big pool of young people, professionals. We have a lot of entrepreneurs.
Right.
Yeah, and then of course, because of this, we were able to attract the foreign direct investors.
You've attracted IT, movie. I think Bigfoot came
Bigfoot
into
is there,
Cebu, right?
yeah.
And then the IT sector. There's
The
several groups.
manufacturing like Lear,
Yes.
Timex.
The foreign direct investment in the Philippines increased, but it was only at $2 billion last year, and that's still very low compared to the rest of the Southeast Asian neighbors. Indonesia was almost $19 million. I mean, 19 billion? How do you get people to now put foreign direct investment in a city in the Philippines?
Well, first is we have to solve our problems. One is we have to really look into our power. You
Okay.
know, foreign direct investors, they look at competitiveness.
Correct. And that is
And
one of the biggest problems they always say about the Philippines. Electricity is
Electricity.
expensive, and the supply fluctuates in Mindanao. And
The quality of power is not very good.
okay, so how do you deal with that?
Well, I think the government should really look into not only in it has already privatized the generation and the transmission, but the regulatory regime is probably something that they have to look into.
Right.
Because I am wondering why power is so expensive here when the technology and the raw materials is the same as what they're doing it in other countries like Malaysia or
Right.
Singapore. So there has to be some level of regulation that we cannot just let the business concerns price themselves out of the market.
And then
Infrastructure is also
Yes.
another issue.
electricity infrastructure,
Yeah, and then of course doing business in the Philippines.
the
red tape,
competitiveness.
the competitiveness
Right.
aspects. Yeah, so it has to improve, and the government, the Pinoy administration is showing a very good intention to solve these problems. But I think the local government as well plays an important role in trying to simplify these issues on red tape.
Interesting. June Admana, I'm sorry, I'm cutting in and out
Yeah,
of the
okay.
questions, but June Admana says, time pa naman ni Marcos ay humahataw na ang Cebu. I don't understand kung bakit nadireo.
Well, because of international, we had several crises.
So it's really the Philippines. Basically,
Yeah.
what happened to the Philippines is
But Cebu has a very strong small and medium enterprises.
which is a driver.
We
of
have
the
a creative sector, the furniture, the fashion accessories. But unfortunately, these lose out to the competition of other countries like China when manufacturing was done in mass production. So we are transforming ourselves into a better quality and like a Milan type of furniture. You get the likes of Kenneth Kobonpue,
Correct.
so who excels in design,
Yes.
and that's what we're trying to do now. But again, we're hoping that tourism will be a major driver.
You had a very contentious May elections. Your Gwen Garcia padlocked herself, or was padlocked in her office, right? She stayed in her office for a long time. How did the elections affect Cebu?
I think the Cebuanos are already have a positive expectations of the new political leadership. Although the local government and the business sector, no matter what party they belong, always have a strong relationship, and we always carry a private to public partnership, regardless of the political affiliations that they have.
And now, post-elections, what is it like now?
Now it's going to be as in every election. There's always a euphoria of expecting that this new set of leaders will be more sensitive to the issues of, especially on the business issues. And I think they're starting with the right move. They're talking to a lot of business groups. If the Mega Cebu will be given a space, and that the local government will come together and unite in order to make this happen.
Yes.
I think that's going to be a very strong factor that will make Cebu grow more faster.
one of the things that you mentioned this earlier and why Cebu is attractive is just you still have a small a community feel, and yet you've got the facilities that this is a question from Voltaire Garcia. What are Cebu's plans in order not to replicate Manila's problems like flooding, widespread informal settlers, traffic, etc.?
Well, that's the reason why Mega Cebu is being, we would like to share the problems not as per city or per municipality, but we would like to put it as a metropolitan.
Yes.
So in this case, that the traffic situation in Cebu cannot be solved in Cebu City alone, but has to be considered on the other neighboring cities, in the same manner as flooding.
You look at it holistically.
Holistically,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And well, there's a physical advantage of Cebu. Cebu cannot grow as big as Manila. We're really that small. I mean, the space is not just enough. Yeah. So it's just a narrow strip of island, and we only are what? In terms of population, we're only like 10% Cebu City, but the entire Metro Cebu may be only about 20% of what you have here in Manila.
You're a businessman in Cebu, the president of the Chamber of Commerce. How would you describe the way your businesses have performed in the last 3 years, and how do you feel this growth rate, I guess, is what I'm asking for?
One is that interest rates, it has gone down, and there's plenty of credit available.
Yes, a lot of money.
A lot of money
Yes.
available. So this provided a good confidence level from the businessmen. And definitely consumer spending has increased substantially. Opportunities like even in the local economy in Cebu,
Yes.
the ICT BPO, which has now about 100,000 people, has provided a very strong domestic demand from
Fantastic.
the young people, the young professionals.
So you see this sustainable.
Yes, but it has to, again, the economy has to have more manufacturing. You have to have more foreign direct investors, not only in the ICT BPO, but also in the light manufacturing.
This 7.8% first quarter growth for the entire country was driven by manufacturing and construction. How much of that went to Cebu? Did you feel it in Cebu?
Well, definitely, like the construction side, you can see, of course, we pale in comparison what you have here in Manila, but I think at one point there were something like 30 high-rise buildings going up at the same time.
So you
And most of
you
these
feel
are
the
condominium.
boom.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's the first time that it happened in Cebu.
Yes.
So that by itself is already a very strong indication that there is. And tourism, where our airport is now, over beyond its existing capacity. We are very happy that Pinoy administration is now finally being able to put in the 17.5 billion new airport. We are very much
So
expecting.
they're building that. In
that-
fact, there's a question again from Voltaire Garcia. Are there plans to expand or renovate the airport in Cebu?
There's a major expansion that's going on. They're just doing the tendering right now. But when these things happen, then I think we will have, Cebu will not only be a hub in the Philippines, but could be a hub in Asia as well.
What do you see are Cebu's strength as a region?
Yeah, again, the number one strength of Cebu is people. Number two is we have infrastructure.
Okay.
And of course the closeness of the area, and we have a strong linkage within the Visayas and Northern Mindanao area. I mean, we can produce things in Cebu, but we source raw materials or even labor from the neighboring islands in the Visayas and Northern Mindanao. So if you talk about Cebu economy, it's not only Cebu by itself.
It's the entire area.
Yes.
What about the people? Are they different from Manila in terms of creativity and the
In
industry
a sense,
persistence?
yes, because Cebu has very little natural resources. We do not have the rice lands. We do not have the coconut plantation or the sugar plantation. So basically, we start as a entrepreneur, as a trader, a small manufacturing, a service-oriented enterprise. So we are basically more of an entrepreneur place than the sugar barons you have in Negros and Panay, or the big plantations in other
certainly more gregarious, the one as it seems. But this one is another question from Dead Meow Bounds at Dead Meow Bounds on Twitter. How do you ensure that the wealth Cebu generates will have a tangible effect to the marginalized Cebuanos? This is how do you make sure it trickles down? Are you
the political leadership in the past and in the future, I hope, has a strong heart for the less fortunate. Although we have plenty of informal settlers in Cebu, but it's always on top of the agenda of the political leadership. And I am sure that the local government will really try to solve, because at the end of the day, if you try to sell a place for tourism, you would like to have everybody in its right place.
Yes, correct.
So you cannot just have a slum area in the middle of the city. And of course, this is a big challenge for the local officials.
For urban development.
For urban development. That's why in the private sector, we try to contribute a little of what we know through Mega Cebu. So that's why we say that livability is an important aspect of an urban center, as well as mobility. If you have access, you can put the living centers outside of the city, if there is access, and then you can have the commercial and light manufacturing within the transport gateways like the port area, the airport.
This seems quite a comprehensive plan, the Mega Cebu.
Yes.
How far along are you in terms of implementation?
We had a grant from JICA.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and the city of Yokohama is helping us a lot. They try to draw a similarity between the city of Yokohama and Cebu 50 years ago. And they saw that Cebu is very much like Yokohama at that time, let's say 50s and 60s. And they say that at that time they decided to embark on a development framework for the next 30 years.
Interesting.
And we draw a lot of lessons from what they've been doing, and that's how we came up with our strategic development framework. And now, after the new set of political leaders they start their terms, we will reconvene, and because now we have identified several probable things that needs to be done, but we have to prioritize what are the most important things. And if this will be successful, it's going to be a something that we can have, a metropolitan area that will not have the urban decay that you have.
Correct. Yes. Well, speaking about urban decay, this is from Gutierrez Ares. How can you attract investors to Cebu if peace and order in Cebu City and adjacent towns and cities are still spotty? I guess first, do you agree with that? Then the second, he continues, the Joavan Fernandez case and crimes involving foreigners, either as perpetrators or victims, are just key examples of what I mean by spotty peace and order situation. Do you agree with him?
In the petty criminals, yes.
Okay.
But the serious crimes, we don't have. I mean, we always say that the reason why ICT BPO or tourism thrives in Cebu, because we have a relative peaceful community compared to other areas. So, but then again, yes, the petty crimes needs to be addressed with hope, forceful intention of, eradicating them. The Waban case is an isolated case. He's a adopted son of a city mayor of Talisay, but he's now in jail.
Okay, great. A question from Adrian John Vicona. Which one do you prioritize, industrialization or tourism?
I think, when you make that kind of decision, you have to look at your space. I mean, what do you have? I mean, your comparative advantage compared to other areas.
Yes.
I think Cebu is more on light engineering, light manufacturing, and tourism. And if you want to prioritize, I think tourism should be the priority.
Tourism. Over, but I guess because it creates the entire infrastructure around it, right?
Yeah, and we have plenty of you know, tourism areas, destinations. As I said, that it's not only Cebu. When you talk about Cebu, it's a gateway of the Visayas. So you can bring people to Siquijor, to Dumaguete,
Yes.
to Bohol, to other areas.
Right now, so I actually asked you this earlier, and I cut you off. But have you felt the growth in your business?
Well, in my business, it's a very specific business. It's in water.
Yes.
You know, the water industry has been hugely government controlled, and the success of the privatization of water distribution in Metro Manila
Yes.
is being replicated now in other areas in different modes of say some is doing bulk supply only, some is the entire distribution, which is what Maynilad and Manila Water is doing here in Metro Manila. So but this one is important because as you provide stable and reliable supply of water in the different cities,
Yes.
which a lot of cities here don't have that stable supply, will also provide better competitiveness of these cities and
Have you seen
municipalities.
growth in your industry?
Oh yes.
You have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
So
definitely.
the growth rate of the country has petered down, has come down to your business.
to our specific business, yes.
Interesting. You talked about tourism, right? And what does Cebu have to offer in terms of tourism to a foreigner who's looking at the entire Philippines?
Well, okay. If you're a foreigner, you take a flight, say from Hong Kong or from Singapore, you fly into Cebu, and then you choose whether you want to stay in the city or want to stay in the resort. In the city, maybe it takes you about 20 minutes. In the resort, only 5 minutes from the airport. And you have nice beach resorts in the city. And you know, we also have a warm hospitality. I mean, that one is not unique to Cebuanos. I mean, I think the entire Philippines, we have that. So, but there are, and we still have to discover a lot of destinations in the islands. That I think is still something that we can develop. And very few. I mean, heritage and culture, there's very little we can have. Although the local government is trying to do that.
Yes, yes.
But, you know, we are an island destination.
Yes.
And we can have plenty of islands, beautiful ones,
Yes.
that can be developed. And that could be a major attraction.
So how would you describe Cebu today, 3 years into the Aquino administration, with a first quarter growth rate of 7.8%?
Well, Cebu now has substantially transformed. It has its own skyline, a very vibrant ICT.
Yes.
And
I've
again,
actually gone and done conferences in,
Oh,
in
yes,
Cebu
you're-
for
you're-
the Hack to
you're one of
Hatch
our-
and yeah,
yes,
yeah. So sorry, ICT.
yeah, so again, as I mentioned earlier, about 100,000 seats, and you have tourism. About half of the Philippine tourists in 2012
Came to Cebu.
came to Cebu. So those are the big factors. And another thing is that as the development in the outlying areas of the Visayas and Northern Mindanao, these people will come to Cebu. They either invest in the real estate, they invest in businesses, but you know that's what makes Cebu. You know the retail trade,
Yes.
the trade in Cebu is not only for Cebuanos and for the tourists. It's also for people that are in the Visayas and in Northern Mindanao. So if there's economic development in this area, definitely it will trickle down to Cebu, and that's Cebu.
And you focused on Cebu. What about the Philippines today? How would you describe the Philippines now?
Well, you know, the Philippines today is one of the fastest growing economy, and we have to seize that opportunity. But we have to solve our problems. We cannot just laurel on the 7.8 growth because that is something that might disappear very fast if we don't solve our competitiveness, if we don't solve our infrastructure, if this should, you know, transparency and accountability, which Pinoy has shown
Yes.
a lot. I hope that will not only happen in the national level, but also in the local government units as well.
Yes. Are you seeing this happen?
Yes, there's a moral ascendancy. If your president is good, everybody would try to be.
So you've talked about the things that are good, and you've talked about the potential problems, the dangers that need to be avoided now. What do you not want to see happen?
Well, again, a lot of this growth that we are having right now has something to do with good governance. That's my personal opinion. And in order to sustain this economic growth, we have to have that accountability and transparency and good governance to continue. Because if you don't have that, I don't think we will have more investors that will come in. And in Cebu, as far as we're concerned, is what we're trying to do is that we try to celebrate what we call a Cebu Business Month. I think you will be going there for the ICT Summit. But
Wednesday. Yes.
we are, as we have identified, the Cebu Chamber has identified that we have 4 pillars in the Cebu business economy. And this is the creative industry. And we also have our ICT BPO.
Okay.
And then we have our tourism and the manufacturing. So our theme is Excite Cebu.
Interesting.
We have everybody is excited. As even people in Manila is excited about our economic growth. In Cebu, we are also excited. And this June, we have, as what I said, the pillars is that we have a creative summit. Will be about, and the ICT will be about 300 participants. In the creative summit, we even have a top official from Google who will be coming over to one of the speakers.
Fantastic.
And Tourism Congress, that's also
All this month. This is all this
all
month.
in June.
Fantastic.
That's why we call it the Cebu Business Month.
So
all in
Cebu
June.
business. You talked 4 pillars: manufacturing, tourism, ICT, and the last one is
Creative industry.
creativeness. So it's interesting. Even in the 4 pillars you've chosen, manufacturing is a pillar of industrialization,
yes.
right? And then tourism brings in Cebu's strength,
Yes.
one of the major parts that the Philippines is trying to push. And then you've got the future, ICT,
ICT, yeah.
and creativity.
The knowledge process outsourcing is also growing very fast in Cebu. It's not only the call centers that we have. So like even animation, even back office software.
Are they succeeding? Are they able to compete?
And they're growing in
globally?
numbers. So I suppose that they're succeeding.
Interesting. So if you were to look at the Cebu business month, that this month for Cebu, what do you want to get out of this?
Well, one is that we try to support our members by trying. We are celebrating the Cebu Business Month on the 17th year. By the way, the Cebu Chamber is already 110 years old.
Wow.
So we try to provide business, a vibrant business environment by keeping together again the pillars that we have identified, or the economic drivers that we have identified. So we normally discuss issues and concerns, how to grow, how to cope with the current situation, as well as looking forward, what are the things that needs to be done. So our outlook there is that at the end of the month, our businessmen are better equipped, better tooled. So that's why we say Excite Cebu, gearing up for global business. So
What's been the reaction you've gotten so far as you're putting this together?
Like for example, in our advocacy for environment, we have a run for the river on the second day, June
Yes.
2. There are already about 2,000 participants, and this is a good number of runners supporting the run. And of course, all or most of the events, the major events that we have, has already exceeded more than what we were having in the past. We also have our Great Cebu Sale. We are going to
Retail.
compete with Hong Kong and
Yes.
Singapore. And this is the first time that we're going to do it, but we are already
Interesting.
institutionalizing this, and
Okay.
we're hoping to do this every year.
When does the Great Cebu Sale begin?
It begins on June 2.
Okay,
Yeah.
June 2,
Yes.
Cebu shopping.
Yes, shopping. The
well,
whole month.
The whole month. So there are lots of questions coming in on social media, but we're coming to the tail end of this. Let me just throw two at you. This sounds like somebody who's done business with your office. Opa Loy Torres says, we visited your good office 2 years ago. One of your staff told our group you eyed Bohol for expansion. When will it be? What returns do CCCI expect after this action? Is this true?
The CCCI, the Cebu Chamber, tries to encourage, part of our advocacy is capacity building of the different chambers. We try to encourage other cities to create their own chambers.
Right.
And we work in tandem with other international organizations that are coming to the Philippines to develop such. They have this kind of programs. And I think the Bohol Chamber is already a capacitated chamber. So
Okay, and then this is from at Dead Meow Bounds. Tourism brings issues like garbage disposal, prostitution, overdevelopment. How will you curb these?
well, there is the garbage solid waste management is on top of the agenda of the local
This is Mega
yes,
Cebu
part
again.
of Mega Cebu, and of course we try to develop that sense of culture of tourism. Although the Cebu Chamber is in the forefront of this, we even go to the length of, say, educating the taxi drivers, the frontliners. The hospitality industry in
Yes.
Cebu is quite strong. The universities offer comprehensive courses for hospitality management, things like that. So I think Cebu can cope with the issues on tourism.
Coming up, wonderful. Your last words before we go and you embark. We start June next
we would
week.
we'd like to invite everybody to join us in our Cebu Business Month. We'll start in June 1 up to June 30, and there's a lot of event. Practically, we cover all the major businesses. We have ICT BPO, we have creative industry, we have tourism, and we have manufacturing. So see you in Cebu. And we have a great Cebu sale.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lito, for coming here
thank
to
you.
tell us about it. We've been speaking with Lito Maderazo. He's the president of the Cebu Chamber of Commerce and Industry, telling you to come to Cebu this month. Thank you for joining us.